Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Tone Talk with Mark Uzansky and Dave Friedman. It's episode 119, and we are live with Doug Aldrich of the Dead Daisies and Whitesnake and a whole other bunch of stuff. Amazing guitar player. How you doing, Doug?
I'm good. Thanks, you guys, for having me on. This is going to be really cool.
Oh, yeah. Uh, Pleasure to have you on. What's going on, Dave?
You get all sorts. But what? Why? Who was in the 118 before me? What took you so long?
That's
we
funny.
have to spread out the guests. You realize? Try to keep this going forever, and
that's true.
We'll run out of people eventually.
And not all of them are guests. Some of them are like they're not rock stars. Some of them are like amplifier builders and stuff like that. But you're in good company.
Those guys are rock stars too. More people in the world know who the amp builders are than the guitar players.
That's pretty true, actually.
Probably is, yeah.
Yeah, it probably is.
Probably is. Never really looked at it that way, but
yeah, that is true. So, how's things going for you on tour?
Great, man. We're having a good time. We're in Germany at the moment, and we came here to rehearse for a week, and then we started some shows supporting Foreigner. We're doing about 11 shows with Priest. We're doing our own shows in between, and we are doing a couple shows with Whitesnake, my old alma mater.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I mean, I love those guys. I still text with David Coverdale all the time, and I think they sound really good. And of course, Priest is insane. Richie Faulkner on guitar, and then the Foreigner guys are all buddies of mine. I used to be in a band with Kelly Hansen back in the late '80s called Hurricane. I did an album and a tour cycle with him.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that.
He's an amazing singer, and the Foreigner guys are those are great songs,
And Jeff Pilson, right?
Jeff, one of the greatest bass players of all time. I did a couple of gigs actually. At the very beginning, when Mick started to sub out, they asked me to do a couple gigs, and we were using in-ear monitors, and Jeff's bass was so fat, and his vocals were like huge. He holds that. He's like the anchor of that thing, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Then my buddy also Bruce Watson is out there.
Oh yeah, Bruce.
And I've known Bruce forever.
Very cool guy. One of the sweetest guys you'd meet, right?
Yeah.
Seems really likes his beer too.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. Those guys, they've texted a couple times and like, "Hey, it's a night off. Let's go out." It's like, I've heard about Foreigner. You don't want to mess. Are we allowed to swear on this show?
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Don't fuck with the Foreigner guys. They will fucking take you down, man. Those guys party harder than anybody I've ever. I mean, I've never seen. It's not a matter of like they're not doing anything illegal. They're just going out having some beers, but it's like all night long, coming in at 10 a.m.
Wow, they're still living large. That's awesome. Hey, I want to mention before we get deep that we have two sponsors for the show today. One of them is Sweetwater with Earthquaker Devices, and I want to share my screen here. Make sure I can do it. Earthquaker Devices has a really cool pedal called the Special Cranker Overdrive pedal. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have checked this out.
Yeah, this is based off their original speaker cranker pedal. The speaker cranker used to just have one knob, which I can really get behind one knob. I like that. There's just something about one knob or no knobs. Concept's good.
Right.
But what they did is they added a clipping diode switch on this, a level control, and a tone knob. So you kind of had a little more control over what it was doing and how it was sounding. It's a dirty boost that you would call sort of tube-like, but it has a little of the kind of garage rock kind of old speaker. Well, it's supposed to be like an old speaker breaking up, so it kind of.
You know what? That's super. That's really a great sound. It's super popular right now. I just saw a band in LA that blew me away. It's a duo, two girls. They're called Deep Valley, and this girl's guitar sound, she was using some kind of pedal like that, and playing a Mustang, or maybe a couple of Fenders or something. I don't know what she was playing through, but man, what a freaking sound she had. So always pedals like these, they're always good for, a different thing, or whatever you're, in the mood for.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's it's pretty cool sounding. I like it. I love that kind of stuff actually, because I'm like a Jack White fan personally, but I know some people give him shit or doesn't like it, but
No,
cool.
cool.
Come on, man. He did some cool shit.
I agree.
Well, I've never seen him live, but if he gets that kind of sound live, it must be pretty monstrous.
He gets a lot of those sounds and some really bizarre stuff too. That's amazing. But I like that stuff. I like kind of messed up sounding, broken fuzzes and different things like that. And this isn't that, but it can do, if you really crank the more knob, it can get that kind of semi fuzz tone boost, so to speak.
Yeah. And it's got two modes where you can go germanium and silicone also. So
yeah,
that's pretty. I'm sold pretty much already, guys. So.
And it's $99. $99. You can't beat the price. So guys, check out our link for Sweetwater below, and purchase it. And we get a little kickback, but the price is $99. And make sure you check out Sweetwater. We also have a new sponsor on the show today. Dave, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, the new sponsor is a friend of mine that does all our metal work and Fix Pedal Boards. Fix Pedal Boards makes pedal board accessories for pedal boards. I'm pretty sure, Doug, nice. You had a pedal board from him. It was Tim.
Yeah.
The metal pedal board, the black.
Yep, I still have it with me right now.
Yeah.
He makes amazing stuff, and it will not break.
No, it will not break. So he does.
So basically, you don't have to fix it.
Exactly. So I mean, right now the website, he's gonna do a new website, and there's gonna be more products on it in the future. But right now, there's a bunch of pedal risers. There's some pedal bridges that you can put on pedal boards. There's a sliding rack tray that no one makes anymore, and that's a good one.
Yeah, I'm gonna get one of those.
And a brackets for all sorts of power supplies and things. So real useful, but you're going to see more coming. So Tim will be an ongoing sponsor of the show. So, and
very cool.
He makes all our amp chassis.
Nice.
He's an important dude.
He's an important dude. And not only is he sponsored the show, but he also sponsors drinks for the show. This is Clase Azul tequila. Very expensive, very good. Just a sipper. Not at 9 a.m., but I thought I'd show
I was going to say, it's pretty early there. Anyway.
Thanks for showing that stuff, man. I'm like, now we're primed to talk about gear.
Yes.
There we go. Let's talk about gear then.
So what are you using on the road right now?
I have some old I've got a Marshall with me that was the first amp I bought in Los Angeles in 1981 when I arrived. And it's $400. It's a 79 JMP master volume, and John Serve did a mod to it. It's been modded a couple times by different people, but that John Serve did a mod that I really love. It's his SC mod, and then I've got a 78 that next to it that's at my backup, but I'm just running that mono through a couple of 4x12s, and I have some Dunlop pedals on the ground, the Dunlop wah, the custom audio electronics wah I really like, and MXR Phase 90. Got a and I had a Buxom Betty on the board for a while, and then
Buxom Boost,
which is great. And all your pedals, by the way, are killer for, that's why, like all of us have a lot of different gain pedals, different things, for recording and for you take it on the road and you go. But in the end, it's like live. I end up less is more for me right now. So I'm just using an MXR kind of a line booster for solos. So it's just like the amp is doing the heavy lifting, and then I'll just add a little sustain with that thing. And then I've got this this thing called somebody gave it to me. It's a pedal from Australia that is called DVR, I believe it's called. It's like one side is a fuzz and one side is a univibe, and I don't use the fuzz much, but the univibe is really nice. So I got that. I got a Echoplex Echo for some delay stuff.
Oh, is the DVR from Keeley?
Is it DVR? I don't know if it's Keeley, but it's Australian. It's an Australian company.
Oh no, then it's not Keeley then. Okay.
Yeah. But and then I'm using pretty much. I've got 2 Les Pauls on this run. Both have been refretted with Dunlop wire that I really like, and 6105 wire. And
tall
then,
and thin.
Yeah, I like that too. Do you use stainless or just regular?
Stainless now. Yeah, I got turned on the stainless, so it just lasts longer. And although nickel is great, sonically it might maybe superior. I don't know, but and then I've got John Sir winds me these custom signature pickups that I love. They're great. I just love them. They're great. They're in all my guitars. And this is a Scala guitar that Leo Scala built for me.
Yeah, man.
That is a wraparound tailpiece, kind of built off of a 54 Les Paul style, like a 54 with routed humbuckers, like Jeff Beck kind of thing. And all gold. It's called the Golden Ruby.
Oh wow, that's sweet.
Yeah, Leo is a friend of mine, and
Leo's awesome.
He lent me a guitar for a while, and I gave it back to him, and I loved it. But I just he's got this really cool thing that was kind of semi-hollow body guitars, and I just asked him, hey, can you do me a solid body? Because that's kind of really my wheelhouse. So, and that's pretty much it. Dunlop strings and Dunlop picks.
So is the backup amp modded by John Sir as well, or?
Yeah, it's an exact copy. It's an amp I got it from, and I know you used to know him, Dave, probably is Frank Levi.
Yeah.
And so Frank, I forget what happened, but he needed he wanted to sell it. He needed something, and we wanted to sell that amp, and I think he said he got it off Warren DeMartini. I don't know, but it's a 78. It's a 4 input that's been modded. He does an effect loop probably very similar to what you guys do, and they're what you guys are doing today, what you and John and some other people are doing is just really perfect for the road, because you can count on it, and you can keep your vintage stuff working.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And right to the wait a minute, no, other hand. Right behind me is your amp. Oh no.
Oh,
standing up right there. It's always hard to point backwards with the camera reversed here. Like what?
Yeah. Did you look at it yet?
Yeah, it's fixed. It's done. What was it?
Tubes.
I forgot. I think it was tubes.
Come on, I need to know.
Pretty sure it was tubes.
So it's got a new set of valves in it. That's good. It was.
What amp is that?
It's a 68 super bass plexi that was like, basically it was like a wild Mustang that you could not ride it. It was just too freaking loud. And I have a couple amps that Dave has done for me, and he did an amazing little twist on that amp, and but I was experimenting with, I'll tell you how it started acting up, is I was experimenting with the master volume on 10 and bringing up the preamp just a tiny bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I got this sound one day. I was really just, in practice mode and playing loud I got a little studio in the back of my house, and popped the fuse. I put a new one in, it popped that one. I'm like, okay, it's not happy. I'm not going.
It's got to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's cool. I'm glad it's fixed. It'll be waiting for you when you get back.
All right.
So how long
Sounds
you
good.
how long you on the road?
This run is quite long actually. It's like 2.5 months. And we left at the end of May and we're going back in the middle of August. And it's when you're 25 or 35, that type of run is what you dream. I mean, that's the longer the better.
Mm.
But as you get older and you got wives and kids, not wives, sorry, baby, not wives, just wife. When you got wife and kids at home, it's like, it's difficult to be away from your kids. Like your boy,
Yeah.
By the way, we both have sons called Ryder.
Oh,
yeah, the names are the same.
That's cool.
So roughly the same age, I think. Mine's 12. What's yours, Dave?
Yeah, mine's 11. So yeah, one off.
Oh, 1 year.
Yeah.
Ryder.
He
Your
just
son-
got out. He just got out of elementary school and now going to junior high.
Nice.
So
Amazing.
It's crazy how
or
fast
middle
it
school
all
or
goes.
whatever you call it.
Yep, middle school. So yeah, we it's quite a bit of a run, but we're having a good time. We've got Glenn Hughes. As maybe people don't know, I'm out with the Dead Daisies. It's Glenn Hughes on lead vocals and bass, Brian Tichy from Whitesnake and Ozzy and Billy Idol on drums. Probably I think the most valuable player of any band he works with. He's just incredible. And then on guitar, David Lowy, who is the founder and leader of the Dead Daisies, who is a massive fan of yours, Dave. Obviously, he owns 2 of your original BE 100s, and then myself.
That's cool.
Yeah, that doesn't suck after the that doesn't suck. That's a great lineup.
It's a great lineup.
We call him David Lowy. We call him the Thunder from Down Under because he's got this sound out of your amps that's like a wave crashing on the beach. It's just like down a Bondi Beach, mate. Wave. And David's he's a very, as you might, Dave, he's a very honest, simplistic guitarist. Very no frills. Very much downstroke. Aussie rock. Almost a punk edge to him, and he spends a lot of time tweaking his amp. He's like really particular about it. Like he wants the feedback to be just at a certain time that it hits, and I'm kind of like, I have all these marks on my amp from over the years that it doesn't matter. I always just set the knobs always the same anyways, but the 2 sounds together is working out well. And so, like, for example, we're doing Dead Daisy songs. We got a brand new song that just came out that's super heavy, and it's called Radiance. It's on all the digital platforms. People can check it out. We've just released. We got a new album coming out in August. But my point was going to be we're doing a couple of Deep Purple songs with Glenn. We're doing Mistreated and Burn, and David does the organ parts, and it sounds incredible. The 2 guitars, he's doing different versions, and when you're mixing a Sir Marshall with the Dave Friedman original, it's a fucking big sound.
I was gonna say it's gonna be huge. Yeah.
And Glenn is an orange guy. He's got orange bass amps, and he's got a little fuzz pedal that is he's got a very rich, pissed off sound. It's like you could actually I think Glenn Hughes and a guy like Brian Tichy, you could make a band with just that. His bass is just like, it sounds like a rhinoceros, going, and then Brian
and then he opens his mouth.
Amazing.
Yeah, and he's great. Yeah,
It's unbelievable at how old he is and that he can still sing like that. It's crazy.
Legendary.
Yeah, he's a legend. He's
a freak of nature legend. It's like he's a very, very nice person. He's very down to earth, very spiritual. you know, and so we're having a good time. We're just still, we did I think 5 gigs with Foreigner where we were doing about 8 songs, and then last night we just did our first headline show. We did it in the Netherlands. We did like 17 songs, so it was like, all right, are we gonna make it? But we did. Got through. Everything was cool. Great turnout. So we're having a good time.
Great, awesome, man.
Awesome. Hey, I'm going to jump over to a couple or a bunch of our questions that we have from the audience. By the way, thanks everybody for watching. Hope you're having a great day. Hunter Ralph, what's going on, Hunter? He says, Forevermore is an album as good as 87. It changed me and my friends' lives. Can you please go into details of what guitars and amps you used on the record? You resurrected Whitesnake, Doug. God bless.
Well, I really appreciate it, Hunter. That's a very nice compliment to hear, because I love the 87 stuff. When it came out, it was unbelievable. So he did the 87 album, and then he did the Slip of the Tongue record, and then he kind of went on vacation. He went off with Jimmy Page, David Coverdale I'm talking about, went off with Jimmy Page and did that, and then he kind of went on hiatus for a long time, and I was playing with Ronnie James Dio in 2002. I had done an album, and we were on tour, and we were supporting Deep Purple and Scorpions, and it was kind of like the resurrection of classic rock coming back, classic heavy rock. And every night, by the end of Ronnie's set, it was packed, and we'd be doing Heaven and Hell or Rainbow in the Dark or whatever the last song was. And we were having a blast. It was my first time playing, sheds and stuff like that. And Ronnie said, "Oh yeah, they've just got an offer to go on tour next year with the Scorpions. They're going to do a run with Whitesnake, and John Sykes is coming back." And I was like, "What? That's me and Jimmy Bain were like, yes, that's amazing. We could, at that point, playing those venues and the catering alone was like a dream, the better food than I've ever had in my whole life,
Right.
So we were like, yeah, let's do it. And Ronnie goes, nah, we're going to go make a record. And so I was like, but Ronnie, that's a great tour. And he's like, nah, we need to make a new record. So somewhere along the line, down the road, that tour, I got some of the Deep Purple guys said that Coverdale had been checking me out. And I was like, what? It didn't make any sense. Obviously, David was not there. And then I got a phone call from David, from David's partner, and he said, hey, we want to talk to you about doing a little Whitesnake run. And I'm like, I don't know. I heard about it. It sounds great. It's David and Sykes and everything. He goes, nah, Sykes, Sykes isn't doing it. And I was like, really? That's weird. But I went up and met with David, and then I went on that tour, and a 2-month tour turned into me joining the band, which did not go over well with Dio fans. But when I loved Ronnie, and Ronnie and I hit it off. But when I started working with David, it was like, this is like my big bro. And I loved, like, as I said, Hunter, I loved the 87. I loved Slide It In and even the earlier stuff. I mean, I love Hunter and Ready and Willing. All that stuff was so cool. So at some point, David, it was about a couple of years down the road, we had been working together. And I said, if you really want to move forward, we need to put out some new material. We can't just keep playing the old songs, And he said to me, I don't know when, but I see you and I in the studio at some point. And little by little, we started to collab, bang around some songs. And so we finally, in 2006 or 2006, I guess it was, we started putting together an album called Good to Be Bad, which is probably going to be re-released at some point. It's not on Spotify or anything now, but it's a great album. And we co-wrote everything, co-produced it. And then it was like a couple years later, he decided, let's make, it's time for us to do a new record. And we started on Forevermore. And it's just, I got to tell you guys, the greatest feeling would be like, I'd go to Coverdale's house in Lake Tahoe, or he'd come to my house, and we'd do these writing sessions. And we'd walk away with a CD with 3 or 4 completely, not 3 or 4, it was usually 1 or 2 on each. It would take us a week to do 1 or 2 songs. It would be like completely produced demo that was just like sounded insane. And the greatest feeling was not recording the record or touring the record or releasing the record. The greatest feeling I got was having that creation that me and David knew about. And it was like, God, I can't wait for people to hear this. So I'm very thankful for your comment. And the last song that we wrote was the title track. And we had been, up at Coverdale's house, we would be recording and we get done for the day, and he liked to have a glass of wine or some whiskey, and we'd do that, and then we'd watch a Western. We were always into Westerns. Like, we'd watch everything from all the Clint Eastwood stuff to all the various Tombstone things. And we right before we sat down to watch one of the Westerns, I said, David, I got this one other idea. I want to play for you. He goes, no, I think we're done. We've got a cracker of an album. A cracker meaning a good album. I go, I feel like we're missing like a cornerstone track. And there was a cornerstone track on the previous album I did with him that I love, called Till the End of Time. And so I go, just tomorrow, can I play it for you? He goes, yeah. So I put in the morning, we got together. He goes, play me it. I'm not interested in working anymore, but let's hear it. And I played him for more, and it's in a DADGAD tuning, acoustic intro, and I described, so I played that, and he immediately latched on to a melody that was really great, and ended up being the exact melody that he did on the album. And he said, all right, you got me. Okay, go ahead and let's put together an arrangement. I wanted this thing to be like an epic track that started with kind of like a Stairway to Heaven thing. Starts with acoustic and would build, and then at the out would be something, where it's big and grandiose with the band with drums playing double time. And so that's what we ended up with. And then he said, I'm going to call it Forevermore, and it's going to be the title track. And I was like, yeah, cool. So that's the last song we ever wrote together.
Oh, that's cool.
So what gear did you use on that as he asked here in the thing?
Oh, the gear. Basically the intro of that, I did a shootout with a bunch of acoustics. I had various different ones, and this Gibson Hummingbird that I had from Gibson ended up just beating everything, and that was the acoustic that I used pretty much on the entire album. And I had a gold top that I had used since I got it when I joined Whitesnake. I always loved gold tops. It was the first good guitar when I was a kid, and I had this gold top. It was in 1991. It had the frets and Sir pickups, and that was my main guitar. But I also had a Gibson 58 reissue, custom shop guitar, and I probably used a Strat or a Tele for some clean parts just to mix it up a little bit. And then Reb did his thing with his Sir guitars and his custom audio amp. And Michael Devin played on that with a Fender style P bass, jazz bass. But pedals, I don't recall exactly what I used, but I know that some of the wah stuff was that 404 custom audio electronics wah by Dunlop.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Plexi Warrior, thanks for your question. Doug, I'm a huge fan of your work, style, and tone. Could you describe your 2004 Whitesnake rig and what pickups you were using back then? Pre-Sir?
Yeah, maybe it was pre-Sir. That's a good question. I got to think about it. I'll come back to that. But the rig was, when I was in Dio as a single guitar player, I had a stereo mono. It was like wet, dry, wet rig. And I had I've been friends with Bob Bradshaw for a long time, and as we do with guys like yourselves, we get geeked out on stuff. And we want to like try different things and whatever. And so Bob had this amp switcher that he built for me that I could have 3 Marshalls or 4. I could have 4, but I had 3 Marshalls plugged into it with different settings for different tones. And then whatever amp I was using would go directly into whatever amp was switched would go directly into the center cabinet dry, and then the other the Dave, what do you call it? send, not the send,
A line
load.
out or whatever, the line out of it would feed what if your rack effects, I'm assuming at the time.
Right. It would feed the rack effects, and it was going through a Moss valve 500 by tube works, because that was apparently the quickest power amp aside from AH. But it sounded really good. It was really big, and I would run it stereo with a little offset between the two wets.
Sure.
So for Dio, that worked really good. When I Whitesnake, that offset wasn't really necessary because we had Reb doing his thing, you know. So I took that out of it, but it was still a big sound, and I'd have stereo days just for you know, myself on stage, just using no ears. We were using monitors. I like the sound of it. And then if that was pre-Sir, that would have been probably Seymour Duncan, Alnico 2s with Alnico 2s with the Alnico magnet. You know, pretty not super hot, but a little hotter than.
Oh, that's way different than what you went to with the Sir, then, huh?
I guess. I mean,
that's like an 8K pickup with Alnico 2, and now you have a very hot pickup. Right.
It's very hot, but it's very, for me, it feels not compressed. It's not like a JB. Not that that's bad by any stretch. I mean, I had used JBs before in humbucking positions, and then probably I might have had a Gibson. What do they call it? It's a number 3 up that they use in the Gary Rossington. I forget. It's like a custom shop.
Burstbucker.
Yeah, Burstbucker 3. It's a little hotter than a regular PAF.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just, you know.
And what about the amps at the time?
That was the same amps.
Oh, the same Sir modded amps then?
Yep. Yeah. That amp I blew up a couple times, and John modded it in around 91 or 92, and it just I just loved it. He put a little bit of I forget what he calls it, womp or something, where it's got a little bit of a bass boost like after the fact, and I think, you know, it got to the point where I wanted to start going a little cleaner, and that amp could clean up pretty good for me. Like I could back it off and it wouldn't choke out. So I used it on that tour. That was my main amp on that tour. It was the 79, and I had the 78, and I also had it's before I knew you, Dave. I had an amp that was a 50 watt that had been done by Frank Levi, and it just got a really nice top end, this 50 watt. I don't know why, but I had that in there as well for clean stuff like Is This Love or whatever.
Cool, thanks. Plexi Warrior also said, are there any plans for a signature Sir amp? And then they had another question for Dave.
Okay, no, I mean, John and I had talked about it, and we've worked on some stuff, but there isn't probably a plan at this point. But I do love, you know, as all of the amazing amp guys out there. Well, there's only a few, I would say, and John is definitely. I love what he does, and he's always been super kind and generous with me, and he's helped me fix some you know, issues, and he always would offer a solution if I was having a problem. I'd be like, John, I want to do this, but I can't do it. And he's like, well, you know, I could, you know, maybe we could build something that would sort that out. And he's just been a really amazing guy to me in the music industry to accomplish what I'm trying to do in my head, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. He's a great guy. He's been on the show. Yeah. John's been on, and we're going to have him on again. Yeah, he's been on several times. I just ordered a...
what on earth are we going to talk about again?
I'm sure there's more.
You guys always got new stuff going on. You got new pedals.
Yeah. I mean, but the last 2 shows we did with John were 4 hours each.
I can imagine.
Marathon.
Yeah, he was like, "We'll stay until the last question arrives," which is very John. He's so super cool. Um, okay, we got another question from Zach Zedris.
Oh wait, I got to finish my part
Oh
of that.
yeah. Sorry, you're right. Dave,
So,
what
what Friedman amp settings would you recommend for a tone inspired by Doug's work? Man, just most of my amps. Really, it kind of comes down. I always say this to people. It really comes down. Doug's tone is in his hands. He's going to make a variety of amps sound very, very similar because that's what he goes for, and that's his hands.
It's a good point. That's like Reb Beach is a amazing guitarist, and he always, no matter what amp put in front of him, if it was a Friedman, if it was a Marshall, if it was a whatever, he'd always twist the knobs until he got the sound that he liked, and it was basically the exact same sound,
Yeah.
But it does come out of the hand. But I would say, to answer that question, I would say the BE 100 or the new one, the
Deluxe.
it's called?
Yeah.
Deluxe. Yeah, I would say that amp is that's
if that can't
amp.
cover your bases, then you're in trouble. It kind of covers all bases, in the kind of, shall we say, classic Marshall vein and beyond.
Marshall on steroids, because we love Marshall and we love what they do, but it's also nice to have that extra something on top.
Yeah.
Zach, thanks for your question, which is right here. Hey, Doug, huge fan of your tone and playing on the Burning Rain early albums. What was your rig then, and the Dio live rig? And also, what was that the same live rig as Live in the Still of the Night? Killer tone.
Thank you so much, man. Really, thanks, Zach. It really means a lot. That was the same rig. The Dio rig was the Whitesnake rig. I just basically, as I said, I took the offset off to get, so it wasn't being panned as wide with Whitesnake. But one of the key things I forgot to mention, and Hunter maybe would want to know too, is at that time, for a boost, I was using a Furman PQ3, which was a parametric EQ, you guys know. But it was a holdover from the 80s thing that was happening that I discovered in early 80s in LA. People came up with the Furman and a Lexicon PCM 41 threw directly into a couple of amps, and then you get this giant Randy Rhoads kind of spread. But so I had the P3, and for the offset to get that widespread, I sometimes had a PCM 41, but I definitely got into the Roland SDE 3000 that worked really well. But the other part of the question, Burning Rain. Oh, thanks, man. That's been a pet thing of mine. It's been something that's been very dear to my heart. Something that I really love doing. Can't seem to make it into like a all the time band at this point, but we've made 4 albums and they're all later on I diverted to Les Pauls pretty much full on, but in the beginning I was actually coming out of a period where I was really into Strats, and I would use a Strat on one side and maybe a Super Strat on the other if I was doubling, or a Les Paul on the other side. But I definitely had a Stratty tone going on that stuff. And I recorded with initially, I had my Marshall 79 Marshall, but I also had an amp that I bought back in the late 80s. It was a 71 Super Lead that had been modded by Mark Cameron. That it wasn't something I would take on the road, but for some reason it recorded really nicely and it worked out for that stuff. Pretty high gain, and that was pretty much it. But always when I record, it's mostly straight into the amp unless I'm needing to, or I'm looking for a different flavor, like a different distortion for something. A lot of times you back off the gain on the amp and use the pedal. It's similar distortion, but it's a different flavor, so it's nice. And then, but yeah, I've definitely had some Strats on the early bring rate stuff. Thanks for bringing that up.
Cool. Equinox. Doug, you've played all kinds of equipment, John Suhr and Mark Cameron, which you just brought up. What is your number one go-to head? And also, what tweaks were you looking for to get Tube Screamer and Micro Amp to rocket fuel tone?
Okay, yeah. And by the way, I forgot to mention the rocket fuel is a signature pedal I had done with Magic Box a long time ago, and I still have it on my board. It's based off of kind of it's similar to the Dunlop custom audio overdrive, where it's got like a fuzz on one side and a clean boost on the other. And but yeah, I was looking for that pedal. I was looking for something that would boost, but not, because I wanted to get rid of the PQ3. It wasn't. I wanted to get away from the rack thing where I was using a MIDI controller, and just get back to simple pedals and less wire that I'd be going through and whatever. And so the PQ3 as a boost was great because you could also knock up the bottom end and get this big kind of fat sound. It would fatten out the notes on the top as well. The Tube Screamer kind of does a mid-range thing, obviously you guys know. So I was looking for a pedal that had a bass boost. And that was the thing about the Magic Box guys. They came up with this bass boost thing that kind of emulated. I tried a lot of different pedals and I couldn't get anything until I worked with them, and so it boosts the bottom end as well as the top. And now, like I say, I'm kind of, getting a little bit less where I'm just doing a clean boost. It's an overall boost. It's not mid-range boost like a Tube Screamer. And then the other part of that question was,
I can go back. What did he ask? Oh, your number one head. What's your number one head?
Number one head is that one I told you guys about.
79 Suhr modded?
Yep. I bought it at Guitar Center and Guitar Center Hollywood. It was $400. And that amp through the years has, I think originally it was stock and it sounded great. And then I think somebody did something to it. Maybe, over the years, Frank Levi definitely had retubed it and maybe done some bias work on it or stuff. Frank, as you guys know, Frank was an old amp guy that worked out of SIR in Hollywood, and I got to know him. And I'd say, "Hey Frank, I'm not happy with my amp. Something's going on." He'd be like, "Why don't you come?" It's be like a Sunday night. He'd be like, "Yeah, why don't you come down, pick up, grab a beer and some smokes and stuff, and we'll hang out." And Frank just sat in his office there and just did electronic stuff. And
was that the apartment?
No, it was at SIR.
Oh, do you remember his apartment in Hollywood?
I might have been there. I can't remember, but I know that it would have been definitely packed with stuff.
Yeah, but apartment in Hollywood, this must have been around, I don't know, somewhere between 88 and 90 or something around there. And yeah, the apartment, you wondered if he actually lived there because it was just a junkyard of gear.
Right. I think I was there once and I didn't go back.
Smoking.
Yeah.
It's
it's like you go through hallways of gear, right?
Yeah, it's like
Rest in peace, that guy. He was a good man. He was always really kind to me.
He's super cool. I love Frank.
Yeah. Is he? Wait, did he pass?
He passed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot what he had, some sort of health issues or some sort of, I can't remember what it was from.
He used to crack me up, man. He would be sitting there just about to put something on, to put some sticks in the amp, the electronic sticks you guys use, and some guy from come up behind him and go, "Hey!" And he would, jump back, and he would just like, "Don't do that! I could be killed," and it cracked me up because he was very shaky, He'd be like trying to.
Oh yeah, there was lots of bad things that went on with Frank over the time. Yeah.
But so yeah, that amp is my number one go-to, and it's been at one point, I worked with Andy Johns, and he really loved that amp. And a couple times he asked me to borrow that for various projects, including Satriani, the Extremist album. Joe had his equipment got stolen, and he was in the studio with Andy and wanting some heads, and Andy was like, "We've got to ring up my friend Doug. He's got one of the great Marshalls of one of a great Marshall he's got." And I brought it down, and Joe just went he just played a couple chords, just went. It was like, "Yeah, I like it. That's good. Okay." And then I gave him the pre Cameron 71, and he kept that one so he kept those for about 6 weeks, and just rented them for, it was very little amount of money, but it was nice to make some money, on the amp. And then Andy used it on a Godsmack live album, that amp, and I guess they redid a bunch of guitars or something, but that's my main amp. It's always been around. I blew it up a couple times, as I said. One time was when I was in this band called Hurricane, and I had a rig that was Bob Bradshaw put it together, and they had those juice extracts that were made by Alan Holsworth, or for Alan Holsworth.
Yeah.
So basically, it would basically turn that output into a line load level, but then you could EQ it a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing, so I would run that thing, that head. I ran the Furman PQ3 into the front of that head for boost, and then it went into the juice extractor, and then it went into a BDE sonic maximizer with extra top and bottom, and then it went into a what's the power amp?
VHT?
Yeah, VHT.
2150 maybe?
Yep, going through 4 cabinets and split with stereo delays and all kinds of goop. Man, it was a giant sound, and you could just basically just wail. I didn't need to do anything. It was very finger friendly.
That's cool.
That it was all good, except the juice factor turned out to be a problem. That if the juice extractor went bad, the amp was going to get blown up. So I blew up the transformer, and that's how I met John. Was that amp was blown up, and I said, I came into Bob's, and John was at Bob's, and I said, I need a new transformer, and he goes, well, we're working on this new amp for Bob, and I got this prototype transformer that's really good. And we stuck it in the amp, and he put in some filter caps that could accept more power, so it didn't sag as much. And all of a sudden, the bottom end got really big, and that's the transformer that's in there now. And it's just a really good amp. I mean, but look, they're all really good amps. It's a matter of taste. I hear guys, like I said, I heard that girl from Deep Valley play with 2 Fenders that just was the most giant sound I've heard in a long time. So,
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah. Like you said, Dave, it's in the hands sometimes too, right? So
it's in the hands and the delivery. I think ultimately, really, really, really great players have a confidence behind them, and that confidence comes across through the amp, through the playing, through just it. If you hit it like you mean it,
yeah.
That's why I tell people, even if you're not like an amazing player, if you have great hands that can smack the chord properly and play the rhythm properly, even if it's a very simplistic thing, that's the whole thing. It's all your tone. I've seen this time and time again, like especially like in say vintage style Marshalls or Plexi style Marshalls and stuff that are cranked. This is the amp that will make or break you. So there's not a lot of gain. There's nothing to hide behind. You have to know how to control that beast. If you can, it's a fantastic sound. But if your hands suck in any way, man,
yeah,
it's just like you're looking at the amp. I swear this has happened a million times. People play like a Plexi style amp that's cranked that sounds great, and then another guy comes in, plays the same setup, the same thing, and you're looking at it going, did something happen to the amp?
Right.
Did it break? it just doesn't sound good. But the guy right before it sounded amazing.
Right.
You
Different
know,
guy.
so it's a thing. And I think ultimately, you know, it's kind of a lost art. Kids growing up now are playing through modelers in their computer, and they have no idea how to control an amp or how to use your pickups and volume knob, and how, you know, it's almost like, here, I'm going to lock you in this room. You have this one amp. That's all you got in your guitar. Figure out how to get a bunch of sounds out of it. Because with pickup changes and volume knobs and tone knobs and everything, you can get a million sounds out of one amp that's maybe really distorted even, but you can roll it off. You can pick closer to the neck. You can pick closer to the bridge. You can use the tone knob in certain ways. You can do so many things, and it's lost. And it's just like, then you get someone up on stage and they play through an amp for the first time, and it's feeding back and like going crazy, and you're just like, roll your volume knob off. What?
Right.
You know, I love when you get when you get one of those nice old amps and you get it cranked and it's sounding right, and it's just got this in your face sticky sound. Speaking of Marshalls, for example, it's like like you said, there's nothing to hide behind it. In fact, it amplifies everything that it exposes everything that you do, which is good, and it can be a little bit, you know, tricky sometimes. Once you get used to it, it's really nice. But the thing is that, as for me, getting a bit older and my ears getting older, those amps, and then it's hard to stand in front of it for a long time for me, unless it's at leg level, because it just tears my head off, you know?
Yeah, sure.
And then the other issue that is even more is that I still like a live cabinet on stage. I mean, I want to get feedback. I want to be able to control it and use, you know, if I'm holding a chord, I can back it down a little bit. You don't hear it getting cleaner, but I know it's getting cleaner. And then when I want that, when I slowly pull it up, turn it up, it'll
right,
feedback.
Yeah.
But front of house guys these days, I mean, it's like they're just everywhere in Europe now. For example, like they've got dB limits in these clubs or these theaters or even large places that they're outdoor places, and we're playing like 5,000 or 10,000 people, but it's in a neighborhood, you know, or something. So they go, we're going to put it's 102 dB limit, and that when you start accumulating a couple of guitar players and a bass and drums and then everything's going through a PA, it's hard to get away from the sound man coming up to you after the gig and going, dude, you got to help me out, man. It's so loud up there. Please, you guys all got to like help me out.
I think that
1,000 times.
But that's kind of hogwash, I think, you know, like from the sound. I mean, from a perspective, look, for a million years with much more inferior PAs, a stage has been loud and everything's been fine. Why all of a sudden now, with superior PA systems that are capable of much more, why now is it a problem?
I don't know,
maybe
man.
The problem is you, sound guy. Maybe you just don't know how to do it. Because if you get a really good sound guy, he's like, whatever you feel comfortable with on stage is fine with me.
Yeah, that's true. I've had that conversation too.
You know, and that's fine with me. It's just like, you know, I don't think it necessarily has to be excruciatingly loud, but you know, the drummer is a certain volume. You have Brian Tichy in the band. He hits hard.
You know, actually, Brian he mixes himself very well. He goes off kick drum and everything else falls into place around that. And he looks like he's hitting hard, but he would tell you himself, he's not hitting as hard as he looks he's hitting, as it looks like he's hitting.
It's still loud, really.
Oh yeah, it is. I mean, you gotta. I'm not talking about playing quiet by any stretch. It's still loud. It's not like I tell the guys, look, forget the monitors. Let's get a mix with the drums the way they are and our amps, and that should be it. Just like when we were kids.
Exactly.
That's how it should be. But
Right.
that, like for example, that super bass that you have without you putting a master on that thing, I couldn't get a tone out of that thing until it was dying.
Oh yeah,
And
that's a 100-watt amp on 10. Yeah, no, that's no.
That amp it just wasn't. I tried to record with it a bunch of times. I tried to attenuate it a couple times, and it just always something else would win out. So I wanted to get it in the race, and that's so I appreciate you helping me with that.
Yeah, sure.
No problem. I know you got to run in like 5 minutes, so we're gonna jump into some other questions.
Couple quick ones through here.
Jeff Arabat, hey guys, love Tone Talk. Doug, I'm a huge fan of your playing in tone. This is for Dave. Dave, are you still planning on your vintage line?
Yes.
And take my money, please, with the specifically an AC30.
Yes.
All right.
Nice.
Did I say silicone earlier? I meant silicon. I don't know. Sorry, my bad. People always pick up on when I fuck something up.
That's generally, that's the most interesting times when we mess up.
It's
being more interesting than
right. True. Question for Doug: are Cameron Aldrich modded Marshalls in use today? And when were Cameron's Aldrich modded Marshalls used? And when were Cameron's Aldrich modded Marshalls used? And
Aldrich.
Aldrich.
Sorry. And were there any
Mark?
I know. Fuck, I screwed up again. Are there any clips of them being used live?
I don't know. Probably, but less than you would think. I mean, Mark's a really nice guy, and he was really cool to work with. I haven't seen him for years and years and years, but he did a thing that was maybe influenced by somebody else. I'm not sure, and he did it and twisted it into his own. And he did a couple amps for me that, just one in particular, the one I mentioned, the 71, is still stands. I took it on the road, but it didn't translate live as well as it did in the studio. Like in the studio, I could get this amazing Van Halen. I mean, like kind of a Jose vibe to it. But live, it just didn't have what I wanted. And so people kept saying, "Oh, he's using the Camerons," and then John would go, "No, he's not." John Sir would go, "No, he's not. He's using my amp or my modded Marshall." And John would get a little upset about it because it was confusing. And I did say that I had it on the road with me, but they're great amps. I mean, you can, anybody that does what Mark was doing, you're gonna find something. He did some stuff for John Norum, and that's what John Norum maybe was the one that told me about it. But in the end, I haven't spoken to him. He might have been like, "Hey, Doug's using this Marshall with Sir," so I maybe lost touch because of that. But he was doing some interesting things, and he I think was trying to do his own thing, but maybe it didn't work out, or I'm not sure. I haven't seen it, so that's all I know.
Okay. We got a question. They asked it several times. Doug, can I get an online lesson with you? Do you ever do lessons?
I actually haven't done that before. I would like to actually get into that, but I was going to talk to Brian Tishy about it, because I the whole Zoom thing is still. I think there's a way, and to answer your question, you can hit me up on Instagram. It's probably the best way, and we could talk about maybe doing something. Maybe it would be a one-off, because generally I'll teach somebody, and then the following week they're better than I am. but that's not hard to do, So, but yeah, maybe. But what I'd like to do is find a way to actually get, because sometimes when you're playing on Zoom or something, it's cutting out. It's a little sound is a little hard to decipher sometimes. Like if it's cutting or whatever. So I need to get with the technology. Somebody like Joel Hoekstra would know, or how to achieve that, or maybe you guys could help me out.
Well, I know Skype seems to work. I've taken Skype lessons from folks.
So do they use an interface with that, or is it just through the speakers?
I think they use an interface.
That's what I need to do. I need to figure out how to do that. It's probably really simple, but I'm generally, if I'm on the road, I'm recording or writing or practicing, and then, at home I'm running around doing
The family
dad stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I would like to. I used to teach when I was younger, and it was really rewarding to work with people and help out, give some tips and encouragement, because one of the things that's most important is that it's about having fun. That's why we picked up these things in the first place, because it was fun and it made you feel good, and there's always been a challenge, which always makes you want to come back, and then you just like with anything, once in a while you hit this sweet note and you're just like, oh man, it just made me feel amazing. Or you do this thing that you've been trying to do for a while, and finally you pull it off. And I found that the people that were the best in life at anything are the people that care the most, that tried the hardest. There's God-given people, of course. You got Ingve and people like that. These guys just from another planet. But there's also people that work really hard and they really care, and their passion comes out in their playing, and it's important.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. By the way, I know it's we're right up on the hour for you. James Johnson, he didn't have a question, just contributing to the show. Thank you, man. Really appreciate it. Let's see if we can get one last question before you run.
Yeah, and I just want to say thanks to you guys, and I'm sorry I have to cut out.
No, it's no problem.
I really am grateful to be here, and I'd love to do it again at some point. We could kind of do a sidebar of some of these discussions.
Yeah.
Maybe. Don't make it 218 or 19.
No.
There's 100. There's one thing. Someone asked about speakers. What are your speakers you're using in the cabs?
I got just the basic greenback 25s. I sometimes use the 30s Celestion, and then there's some other ones. I bought a cabinet a few years back that had the creambacks, and apparently Celestion has put out creambacks and a bunch of different stuff, but I haven't had a chance to try it, but I'd like to try it.
Cool.
Dave, what's your favorite speaker?
I mean, it's like a greenback, or if it's a vintage cab, maybe a blackback speaker, or I mean, I still like vintage 30s too, especially if they're beat in and worn in really good. I like them because there's a certain punch to those that I like, where a greenback doesn't have, and it might cut through a little bit better sometimes, but
broadband.
Just a little more, oomph behind it than the greenback, but the greenback, of course, is great tone. So that's my deal.
Awesome. Well, Doug, Dave, you want to stick around for a few more minutes? Answer.
Yeah, we'll stick around. Maybe we can address some of these, but we're gonna miss some of these. Maybe we'll send you the questions and you can answer them.
Let's do two more really quick.
Okay. Doug, have you played the Sir OD100 SC Plus head? And if yes, what are your experiences?
I have played it, and it's amazing. All those, amps, John, the Pete Thorne amp is amazing. I love it. The SC100 and the SC. Did you say SC100 Plus?
He's OD100 SC Plus.
Yeah, I have played it, and there's also a modeling of that as well that is on. You can play through that. Just it's same as
the simulation.
Simulated like the Friedman, and it sounds really like the Friedman. It sounds really close and legitimate. Like when a lot of times when we're recording and tracking, David Lowy uses this Friedman BE100 plugin because it's solid, and that's it. All right, I'm gonna blast through a couple more here.
Okay.
DA100. No, not at this point, but who knows what happens.
Gotcha. Let's see. We got
Higher Goonage said something about pickups here. I don't know if it's really a question. He goes, "Are all pickups a bit microphonic?" Yes, even potted pickups, and if they're unpotted, they're really microphonic.
Yeah.
But they do sound cool unpotted. So there's a
trade-off. Yeah.
there's a certain trade-off with that. So there you go. We got through that one.
I gotta be potted live, but for recording, I
that's true.
Sometimes we'll use it unpotted. Yeah, it's too much of it's like I am definitely, like Dave said, I'm old school. I'm constantly adjusting my volume and tone, and it's it's something that I'm constantly doing. But when you have an unpotted pickup, it's a lot extra work live.
Oh yeah,
especially when you're playing it at 100-watt levels.
No doubt. Doug, I love the black Strat that you use with Dio. Can you talk about that guitar? What mods you've done? Also, I'm curious what made you move from the Super Strats to the Les Paul.
Okay, good question. Thank you, buddy. So I had been in, I've been around the block with guitars and stuff, and I was at that time I was working with Dio. I always, had Les Pauls and stuff, but I was definitely into. Prior to that black Strat, had gotten into single coil Strats. I just found it fresh, and I was into it for a while, and not really working with Fender, but they were helping me out a little bit here and there, and I decided I wanted to get a humbucker, get a Super Strat again. I had a Charvel, and I had different things over the years, and I wanted to get a Fender Super Strat. So they said, come on down, and they picked out a body out of the bin. It was just that guitar had actually been made for Mick Mars, and I think they relicked it. It was like the early days of relicking, and they had gone a little too far on it, and he didn't want it. So I was like, it's fine with me. I like that, and I put a maple neck on it. Went with a higher. I went with actually it started off with a regular Strat neck, and then I switched it to a 67 kind of reissue neck with high frets, and it had the lace. I think it's not the lace. No, I take it back. It was John Suhr, when he was at Fender, had come up with a pickup, a single coil that was noiseless, but it looked like a regular Strat pickup. And then I had a Alan Holdsworth Seymour Duncan in the bridge, and I'm not sure if that's still there or not. If I switched it, I'm not sure, but that's what was originally in it. And the guitar just kicked ass, and it played great, and it looked cool. And I used that. I did not record so much with that with Ronnie. I used the single coil on one side, and I used the Les Paul on the other when I recorded with Ronnie through my 79. It just gave it a good mix. And say like a Strat single coil through a BE 100 or a Suhr SE 100, it's a big sound. It's not like playing a Strat through a Plexi,
right?
Or it's a different sound. It's fatter, and but live that guitar was just on fire. It felt great and it sounded great. It definitely beat the single coil sound for what I was trying to do. But I also had been getting into Les Pauls in the late 90s and early 2000s again. I always had them. I'd record with them a lot. Live, I did a tour with, remember the girl Tiffany in the 80s?
Yeah.
My buddy invited me to do a tour with them. She was trying to rock it up a little bit, and she still is. She's a great singer, really talented. And for some reason, I brought a black custom on that tour. And I brought a 78 Pro that had P90s in it. And then when I got into Dio after that, the black Strat worked really good for covering the Dio stuff and the rainbow stuff. Definitely the Blackmore stuff needed it to be more Stratty. But then when it came to Sabbath and some of the heavier Dio stuff, the black Les Paul was like, that was the thing. And and then when I joined Whitesnake, David was like, "Oh, I'm so happy you're playing Les Pauls. I love it," And I was just like, I kind of just went back to Les Pauls, and the gold top being the first good guitar that I ever had ended up being my main gold top, and now I've got a bunch of them that are different and all kind of cool.
Awesome. For Dreed H, Doug, I have a set of your pickups. They're epic. What Sir single coil would you put with them in an HSH format? Thanks.
That's a good question. Maybe something medium hot that you could use to kind of smooth out the tone a little bit. If you went into a middle, like treble pickup and middle pickup, I wouldn't go super hot with it because you got hotness coming from the other stuff. But I forget the name of the actual pickup. But one of the things that I love about John is that you can actually call down there and you can go on the phone or some get in and talk to somebody, and they'll send you. You can buy whatever you want, and then if you're not happy with it, they'll swap it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're great. They're great.
I got. Sorry, guys. This is gonna be. I gotta say. Unfortunately, I feel terrible.
No, don't. No, don't. You'll come back.
It's a business thing.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And I agree with this comment here. He says, "Thanks so much for doing this. You're a true class act." So, thank you, man.
I would love to pick up on it later and expand on everything. And I appreciate you guys so much. And Dave, you're one talented dude, man, and world-renowned super. You are a rock star. Mark as well. I appreciate you. Thank you for what you do. And
thank you, man.
Look forward to seeing you guys. In August when I get back.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds great.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Hey, Dave, don't let George Lynch buy my amp.
Buy your amp. He'll just steal it.
Anyway, if you guys out there could know all the amazing players that you might just bump into over at Dave's place, it's incredible. You walk in there and it's like, whoa, here's this guy, here's that guy, Phil X, Steve Stevens, Pete Thorne, George, whoever.
Yeah, Warren.
Yeah, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I'll see you in August. I hope my amp is still there.
It'll still be here.
All right, guys.
All right.
Yeah, thank you, Doug.
All the best, everybody. Enjoy your week.
You too, man.
Thanks.
You too. Safe travels.
Thanks, guys. See you.
Take care.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Sorry I have to cut out, man.
No, don't worry. You're good.
You're good,
All
man.
right. I'll talk to you guys soon. Let me know when it's coming out, and I'll promote it.
Oh yeah. It's already
It's
out.
live now.
It's live now.
Oh, okay.
So,
I didn't know.
it's all good. And everybody check out the new Dead Daisies album that's coming out, and the live track, the new track that they just come out with.
Yep.
Check out. It's called Radiance. Yeah, check it out.
Radiance.
Cool,
Awesome.
man.
All right. Thanks,
all right,
Doug.
Cheers.
Have a good one. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Cool.
Sorry, guys, if we a couple super chats were missed. We can try to find the answers for you.
I know that we answered this one.
I did. I got that one in real quick for Tony.
Well, we missed this one, so I will send it to Doug. I'll take a picture of it, so I have it. And let's see. And I think I said no more super chats. So if anybody else sent a super chat afterward? Let's see. I think
There's another one about, has Doug tried any of my amps? From Alex B. I can sort of answer that. Yeah, he has the deluxe amp. He's tried the older B100s that that David has in the band, and he digs them. But he's got his Sir modded Marshall that he digs, so that's kind of his thing. And SS 100 V2, yes, those are going to be released. I have to wait for one more video demo, but those are going to be released this coming month. So be finally out.
Cool.
Got a bunch of them built. So
Chopper asks, sorry if this was asked, but does Doug remember anything about recording the Transformers theme? He recorded the Transformers theme?
I have no idea.
I took a picture of this, Chopper. I will send it to Doug because that's really interesting. This is an interesting question. Hey, Dave, are you hiring?
Not really, no.
Okay. Wasn't sure if there was an opening at Boutique.
Well, there was, but I think it's already been taken.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. T Skinhead? Oh, okay. Thanks for answering my questions. I'm always rooting for you from Japan. Okay, cool.
Cool.
Thank you. Thanks, BV, for being on here. I think BV's been helping folks from Ukraine or doing something with folks from Ukraine.
Oh.
So want to thank BV for being an awesome human and doing that, and also being a moderator for us. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it. Did I miss anything else?
I think we're good.
Let's see. Yes, this was the question that you had said from Alex B. Thanks, Alex. Yeah, we'll get
Doug will be back.
Yeah, Doug will come back on. He
just short on time, so
yeah.
He is on tour after all.
Yep. I didn't know that he actually had replaced Richard Fortus.
Yeah.
From the Dead Daisies.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. I remember when Richard was playing in the Dead Daisies. Yeah.
And there was another question I wanted to ask of Doug. I read that he auditioned for Kiss.
Oh, really?
And he didn't get the gig, but Vinnie Vincent got the gig.
Oh, that would be a good question.
Yeah. But I didn't, I wanted to make sure that we got to everybody's questions as much as we could. So yeah, but we'll ask him that on the next one. So so that's it. So what are you doing today, Dave?
I don't know what I'm doing today. I don't know yet.
It's your day off.
Nothing in particular. It's my one day a week that I have off.
Yeah. Well, we'll let you go. Let's see. Have you noticed a decrease in quality with JJ tubes over the years? I think the answer is yes. On some, right?
It would go in waves, sort of. You would notice a problem with, say, EL34s, and then they'd have that problem for a while. They'd correct the problem, then it was fine for a while. Then another batch would come in with a different problem. It's a great sounding. I mean, mostly I used EL34s from them. I really like JJ EL34s. I think they're a great sounding tube. Not always the most reliable. But then again, I've had JJs from reliable batches that have lasted forever. So I don't know the state currently.
Okay.
I mean, someone brought this up on a Friedman group, and they're just like, I always see all these problems here with Friedman amps and things. And you got to realize that, some things are completely out of my control. Mm-hmm. Like tubes, quality of tubes and things like that, completely out of my control. If a company gives you bad filter caps that should have worked for years, and all of a sudden they start to fail, was out of my control. We did not know this, and things like this have happened over time. You think that there's a lot of problems, but this is in one isolated group, and yes, you see problems that people post on there, although really people contact me first. I mean, it's you got to get the answer from me anyway. See, why don't you just, instead of posting it up and getting a million wrong answers,
Mhm.
Why not just contact me directly? You think, oh, it's a lot of problems and a lot of issues, and in reality, it's not, because we aren't shipping 100 amps a year. If we shipped 100 amps a year, maybe that's an issue, but we ship literally thousands of amplifiers a year. And if you add up any issue that you have with amps in a year versus the number of amps that went out, I think you see that it's in the very, very, very low percentage.
Of course,
2% or something, or 1%, or something like that. And it's just it's just, someone made that comment. I'm like, yeah, believe me, we do everything we can to try to ensure that there's no issues with your amps ever. But again, you're plagued by what you can get and what parts you can get and things. It's like, I've seen pots randomly start going bad for no reason. And frankly, the pot situation is horrible because there's really not very many good pots on the market. And there's Alpha and there's CTS, and those are the main players. Both of them have their issues. CTS seems to have more issues than what we use Alphas. There's another pot from Asia called a Dia, which is a good pot.
Isn't Borns also? Or?
Borns isn't used that much in amplifiers.
Oh, okay.
And they're not really the cheaper, the standard Borns. They're not really made all that great either. It's not like the old days, like, pots you see that used to be in an old Marshall or something were really great pots. They lasted forever. They're still alive today, and it's just, it's got a little bit frustrating.
Yeah. Yep. No, it makes sense. It's not just you. It's not just Friedman who's having these issues. I mean,
it's every manufacturer and every tube amp. And unfortunately, here's the thing. I can neuter the amps down where you might never have any tube problems. But of course, you won't have the same tone either.
Right.
And do you want me to do that? I don't think so. New Friedman pedal board designs. Not a new pedal board design, but we will have some new sizes that will be available. We structured new sizes to fit in some Pelican cases and some different cases, a little more friendly than some of the previous sizes. They're just slight changes, and we also will offer some bigger ones, like a big one for if you really need a big pedal board. Sort of like how Pedal Train does with, the 42-inch behemoth that they make.
Mm-hmm.
It won't be 42 inches, but it would be like 40. It'll be big.
Wow.
It adds up quick if people start putting things on. Now I don't have room. Well, how about another 5 inches on the board? Great.
Make sure you guys please hit subscribe and click the bell for the show. I looked at the data and it looks like almost half of you people aren't subscribed. So please subscribe to the channel, and also check out Sweetwater in the link that we provide below, so you can purchase stuff.
Yeah, if you're watching right now, literally go and just hit subscribe, so you just know if you want to watch the show.
Yeah, it's free. It doesn't cost anything. And make sure you check out the special cranker pedal from Earthquaker Devices, and also fixed pedal boards from our buddy Tim. All right.
Absolutely. Who sponsors the show, and there'll be some new products and things coming for fixed pedal boards that'll be super cool, for good accessory products for a variety of boards. That would be cool. And thanks, Tim, for the drink. I'm not drinking yet.
Oh, awesome. So our next guest is Luke. It's who is it? I think it's Luca from
Red 7 Amplifier.
Red 7, yes, that's who it is. It's Luca from Red 7. and he's coming on. And then we'll also have Rob Cunningham from Diodario, and more folks coming. So you guys just hit subscribe, check us out on the social media stuff, and we'll be back. And Dave, enjoy your day off. All right.
It starts all over again shortly.
Yes, exactly. All right, everybody. Have a great Sunday.
All
Watch
right,
Pete Thorne. Watch Pete Thorne, by the way.
Yeah, Pete will be coming in 11:30ish or something. So you can go watch his Sunday chat or rant or whatever it might be today.
I just ordered a Pete Thorne signature, gold top.
Oh yeah,
yeah, from Chris over at Sir. Yeah,
in the backwards fashion.
Yes, the backwards fashion. Yes, they can do it. They can do it totally. So yep, I'll get it in a while, but I'm looking forward to it. So, all right, guys, have a good one. We'll take care.
All right, see you guys.